Yeah, I love these people that can use their mixing boards and what have you and come up with their music. That's really cool. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody can kind of hang in there with us as long as they can. Debbie says she may have problems with her ISP. Right. Let me pull up Discord. Unmute Discord. Right. Discord is live. I have the wrong damn backdrop. Got the wrong damn. I knew I was forgetting something. Shit. Right. Okay. Now I got the right backdrop. By the way, just a reminder, Live with the Shaman is an adult channel. We do use rough language, no nudity, damn it. But drum, yeah. We do simulcast on Discord. There is a non-expiring link that's always in the description up at the top. If you care to speak and be heard and flap of the lips so that we may hear your opinions and not just have to hear me read them off the screen, which I don't mind doing on those days that I can read. Go figure.
Is that one of these days you can read?
Sometimes. I don't tell anybody, but sometimes I can read. Right, okay, so we are carrying on our topic from this morning a bit with a little bit of different twist. This morning in Open Pagan Church we talked about what deity do you follow. We're here in live with the Shaman, blah. Not. Hell, that scare people. Right. Anyway. Ha! Where was I? Damn, have some sinus drainage.
Pop it up.
Yeah, I'll get that lung going here in a minute. Alright. Clint says, ouch, because I just coughed in everybody's ear. Sorry I couldn't get muted fast enough, and, well, I can't mute Discord anyway, so... What the hell are we... Oh, do your gods and goddesses have names? Well, carrying on in the topic description, do gods and... Do your, not all, but... Hey, Debbie, you so funny. Well, shit, I got derailed again. Do gods and goddesses have to have names? Like, for example, in the tradition of the Celtic shaman, gods and goddesses don't have to have names. And I go on to say, what works for you, right? I know that my Council of 9 do have names, though I generally very seldom ever refer to them as their names unless I'm doing what I call a high cast. That is where I name everything, because what I'm doing has an absolute intent. I am pinpointing that caste to something absolutely specific. So I want to make damn sure I've got the correct gods and goddesses on my council conducting that caste, if you will. So what works for you? Do your gods have names? You don't have to voice them. I don't care. Do they have names? Why? Do they not have names? Why? Do you think gods and goddesses have to have names? Why? So we got 5 watching live. We got 4 in Discord. And I think that means we've only probably got 1 watching live because that 4 is in Facebook. Oh, hell, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, my gods and goddesses have names, but it helps me pinpoint the attributes that they're associated with.
Right, right, okay. Next. Hell, I guess everybody went to sleep.
No, I was busy talking with Tammy and Jess. With me, yeah, it's the same way. I don't use names unless I need to do a specific attribute or asking for a specific thing. Other than that, I don't use the names.
All right, and Debbie says, identification easier with individual names. Yes, it is. Absolutely. There are multitudes of traditions that have specific elements with specific, or I'm sorry, the cardinal points have specific elements tied to those cardinal points. Where in Celtic shamanism, we do not. In our tradition, each of our elements and our cardinal points are considered one of the council. And each of those can, but don't have to, have names. Me, I find it easier to address a particular deity in a council meeting by their name. Now, my problem is with my short sieve of a memory, there are times I have to go back and read off my council names because damned if I can remember them. I know that my primary deity on the masculine side is Hearn, and my primary goddess deity on the feminine side is Morgaine. Yeah. How I ended up with that one, I have no clue. But she is Celtic. Oh boy. And of course, I've always tried to wonder how I ended up with a witch on a shaman council.
Yeah, there's a little witch everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I guess folks will have fun with that one. But you know, I think when you're talking about trying to name your gods, it's like Debbie said, it gives a kind of an individuality to it. It gives the ability to recognize a particular deity energy, or if your mind has actually put a face on them, a recognizable face, if you will. I know for me, with deity, I know the differences in the deities by their energy. Also by where they sit at the council table in the astral during council gatherings. But I know that most humans want to put facial features, body language, body features to deity so that it makes them more individualized, more recognizable. Me, I recognize people, human beings, from their faces and by their energy. I am so absolutely horrible with names, it's not even funny. I deal with so many people on a daily basis that I may recognize the name of an individual, or recognize the voice, I'm sorry. I'll recognize their voice, And sometimes my mind will put that voice with a particular location. I couldn't tell you their name. But I've always been horrible with names. So, what, I guess the question for the masses, because I know that we've got people who watch our pre-recorded broadcast. What works better for you? Just calling on a particular spirit energy? Or calling on a particular spirit name? What do you think works better for you?
For me, I guess it would be names, although I have kind of generalized it to a specific type of energy.
Nicole, you went way down.
Yes, I did, because I moved my
Holy
microphone.
shit, there you are. Wow.
Okay, so did you hear at all what I said?
No.
Okay, so I was saying for me, I generally use names, but I have in the past used energy signatures. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Now that my ears are cleaned out, thank you. Well, yeah, hell, where are we going to go with this topic? I mean, I hate doing a 15-minute freaking broadcast, but where else can you go with it? Some people use names, some people don't. Those who do so probably out of recognition, or like Debbie said, individualism. Like Nicole said, it depends on what you're doing, right? I mean,
well, 90% of the time, or 75, something like that, I use no names because it's the energy I use, because it feels right. If I don't have to name them, it's whoever wants to come in to help or, generalize.
yeah, I mean, step one of the tradition, anybody that has watched the traditional training videos or read our tradition itself, day one we tell you your council does not have to be named, because as a part of your energy council, you're engaging that particular deity that engages that particular element or that particular cardinal point. Now that may be counterintuitive to some, but at the same time, as we talked about before, the pagan pantheon is so absolutely huge that by definition, the definition of pagan is polytheistic. That Google keeps, guys, shut up. Google keeps thinking I'm talking to it. Right? The overall pagan pantheons out there the world over is anything that is polytheistic, multiple, more than one. In reality, in true reality, there's only two true monotheistic period religions in my study. I'm waiting to get jumped on this one.
No, I'm going to say one of them is Judaism.
Yep, one of them is Judaism, and the other one is Luciferian. Well, Luciferian, devil worship, whatever. Because the Luciferian circles that I have visited, and there's been 2 or 3, maybe 4. There's one. Male.
So I'm gonna jump in just real quick
Come on.
and say that quote unquote Satanism isn't really. Do they actually worship a deity though, or is it the aspects of what we consider the Christian Satan that they worship? Because I have talked to Satanists, and yes, they use that name, but I've never heard them say that they actually pray to a god, more that they relish in the aspects that the Christian Satan is kind of enrolled in, we'll say.
You just voiced without realizing it the difference between Satanism and Luciferianism.
Okay.
According to my study, and well, like you know, the people we've talked to, Satanism, yes, follows the aspect, the idea of the Christian idea of Satan, the devil. It's more of a culture shock aspect, if you will. Luciferianism, to my understanding, follows one masculine male, Lucifer, as an actual deity.
Okay, I'm going to have to go research that because that's interesting.
Yes, it is. The Luciferian philosophy is really, really interesting. But then the atheist philosophy is really interesting. I've worked with and known several true practicing atheists. Most of them I've met are very open-minded. They're very accepting of other ideas until people try to shove their ideas down their throat. And then much like us, they can go from 0 to batshit crazy in 0.3 seconds. But the overall philosophies out there are interesting. Luciferian and Satanism are two of them as well. So is vampirism. The draconic philosophies are interesting. And the draconic philosophies of people that I've known do name their gods and goddesses.
That's Paul. He names her.
Yeah. The different dragons have different names that do different things for different reasons. And also a lot of the, and now correct me if I'm wrong, because I absolutely don't want to step off the deep end, but most of the draconic philosophies, I think, are Wiccan based, aren't they? Or are they?
I think they are. He talked to me about it some, the years we've been married, and he's named a lot of the dragons.
But herein lies the whole point. Naming, to me, giving deity a name in the heart of the person that is naming them. Now I want to make sure I make this point very clear. In the heart of the person that is naming the deity in which they are praying to, casting for, or whatever, calling up, whatever you want to call it, it gives this deity more power in the heart of the individual that's calling them. Now, as I've said before, and I said earlier in Open Pagan Church, you definitely don't want to walk out in the front yard or your altar or backyard or wherever and look up to the cosmos and say, okay, spirits, here I am, somebody help me. Okay? That can open up shitloads of bad doors. because you quite frankly don't know who or what is going to answer that call.
And I did that when I was in the beginning. I learned my lesson.
Yeah, I told you real quick, you really didn't want to do that one, and well, once you had the teeth marks in your ass to prove it, well, there you go. But at the same time, how do we learn? I mean, I
By
know.
doing
Yes.
and possibly fucking up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, for example, when I was learning to run through the woods and not make a sound, you begin to concentrate so hard on gliding over the leaves and the limbs and the trees and what have you. You're not watching where you're going. And I assure you, by personal experience, large boulders don't move when you hit them, and neither do trees. Smack into a tree or a rock, yes, that's exactly what I did more than once. Same much goes when you're learning your path and you're trying different things and you're making the mistakes and what have you. The cool thing is, another thing that's been my experience, is if you accept the wrong deity for you that you find out later, you can respectfully send that deity away. By thanking them for their service, I always recommend you do that. And sending them away. Thank you for your service, go back to where you come. I appreciate it, but you're not for me. Now, of course, I've also found, depending on what tradition you're in, what path you're in, and what your core denomination of paganism may be, if you have blood oathed to that deity, and you've used the human blood, not the blood of the mother, it makes the separation from that deity a lot harder. There's a lot more involved when you have blood oathed to a deity.
Oh boy. Yeah. We shamans don't usually do blood oaths, but I think before I came over to the shaman part, I did a blood oath to Skemet.
And, in case anybody doesn't know, my understanding of the Wiccan path, your oath to that particular Wiccan path is called a measure. So anybody that is oathed or taken a measure to any tradition, right? The Celtic Shaman has a measure that we take of our students. It's generally a simple oath, a crossing of the fire, or jumping over a candlestick. No puns on Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Right. But when you take a measure, some people use a string, some use blood, some use hair. I've known some leaders of some traditions that will use 3 or 4 inch clipping of hair, and they will wipe the individual's blood on that hair, seal it in an envelope, or put it wherever, burn it, whatever. It's a little bit harder to break. Mr. Sean is in the house. Hello, Mr. Burrows. How's it going, sir? Good to see you. But I think, personally, that the naming of gods is a power thing. When you name or give names to or call the names of your gods or goddesses, you're giving them more power within their selves. So what do you guys think in chat, and what do you guys think in Discord about actually naming, giving them power by giving them names, the gods and goddesses?
I think that that's how gods are created.
Good point. Anybody else?
Yeah, like Nicole says, there's some deities out there that's been made in last 25 years?
Right? Sean says, my gods and goddesses named themselves. Yeah, okay. So did mine. When they come to you, and they come to you through meditation, astral, whatever, I always ask them, what are you called? What is your name? I never asked them. Now here's something else that I always found rather interesting. I never asked them, who are you? Because when I ask, who are you, I get this long, drawn out explanation of, I am the sky, the moon. I am the leader of the warriors, the power of battle. And I'm like, no. What do they call you? What is your name? Oh, Hearn, he says. Aren't you the god of the hunt? Well, yeah, that too. And I find that most gods and goddesses that actually will give you their names have an absolute twisted sense of humor. Yep. Sean says names are a title. He says we all know how I feel about that. Yep, we do. They just are our guides. Yes. Gods and goddesses are just that. They're guides. They're ideas for how to do the right thing, when. And I've heard some traditions that use the philosophy of the gods and goddesses are at my demand, my disposal, to require of them of my needs. I order them to do things in magical cast and what have you. Quite frankly, the thought of me ordering a god or a goddess to do anything gives me heartburn.
Oh, that's the Druids doing that. The Druids do that. They demand.
Well, it's not just the Druids. I've seen some Wiccan traditions do it, and I've seen some Asatru's do it. It's a thing, depending on what you follow and what tradition you follow. It is absolutely a thing. So, I think, in short, in reality, and we're probably going to be looking at a short broadcast here, but unless anybody else has any ideas or thoughts or opinions on the naming and the usages of the names, how about this? Where do the names come from? We just talked about it. I just kind of alluded to some of it. But where do the names come from? How do they get their names? It's already been said, but let's expound on that. How do they get their names?
Humans make it.
Well, yeah, the humans do make it, but some of them have always had that name. It's theirs. Period. As far as I have found out.
Yep, and Sean says the end. In the end, it's our choice to name them. For a humanity, we need the name to understand where they need us to be. And expounding on that a little bit, like we said, what they need us to do, where we need to be, what we need to do. In my case, the names of my gods and goddesses came to me through meditation, and I wrote them down. And first chance I had, I Googled the actual spelling and the acceptance of it, and blocked them in and started learning about them. There were a couple of deities that I said no thank you to, because I wasn't quite resolved to following their deity philosophy, if you will. So what it all boils down to is naming your gods and goddesses is a personal thing, like we talked about. It's individuality. Are you wanting to name them at all, or do you just simply want to follow the energy structure of those deities? Do you need to name them for recognition? Some do, some don't. Are they something that gives them more power when you name them? Newcomers into the shaman philosophy, you will find as many different answers as you find variables of shamanism. I named mine because they were there. Several others that have spoke or typed in this morning said that their deities have names as well, though they don't always call them the name as much as they do the aspect. So the personal namings of your gods and goddesses are just that. They're your own personal idea. If the tradition that you're looking at requires you to name your gods and goddesses, well, that's for you. Is that tradition for you? Is that group for you? I tell people all the time that come to the Grove of the Celtic Shaman, okay, this is our foundation, this is our core, this is what we teach, and I give them a copy of the tradition, and I say, you will be not thought ill of if you decide this isn't for you. And I think that should be the way of any tradition. Sean says, I am my own god and goddess, therefore I am Sean. He says, I live for them or me. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say I am my own god and goddess. I mean, I can see the philosophy behind it, and knowing you, I can see that.
Yeah, I think it's a knowing Sean that fits him.
Yeah. And, I've known people that do follow that, and it works for them. Me, I've never found myself as a god or a goddess. I'm a part of them and they're a part of me. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. But when it comes right down to it, folks, those of you that will be watching our pre-recorded broadcast, think about this. And it's like I say, gods and goddesses are personal. They're for you. They're, to you, very important. And when it comes to naming them, That's up to you. How you work with them is up to you. If you're oath to tradition, work with your teacher and say, what is our philosophy of this? That's what a teacher's supposed to do. That's what the leaders of your groups, your groves, your covens, your whatever, your gatherings or whatever, that's what they're there for. They're there to help you find the answers to your questions. And if they're too busy telling you you're wrong and not giving you an idea of why you're wrong, maybe there's something wrong with where you're at. Sean says love and energy, healing and light. Yeah, totally agree with that. Absolutely. Well, gang, hot hands. Yep, Sean says hot hands. Ooh. Now, leave that one alone. Yeah, leave that one alone. Anyway, I'm going to give you your part of your Sunday back. And I want to thank you for watching Live with the Shaman. Those of you that followed us over from Open Pagan Church, hope you enjoyed that as well. We always appreciate new ideas, right? There's no wrong and no right. It is what it is. Do what's right for you. Just remember to respect others while you're doing what's right for you. It's the only thing I can recommend, whether you're naming your gods and goddesses or not. Do what's right for you. Do what it works for you. Just remember to respect others. And, as always, thank you for watching Open Pagan Church, and we'll see you next time right here.